Hello, guys. In this edition of GSheets with DLG, we're going to be looking at formulas. Formulas are really handy because they do all the math for you. You just need to know what formula you want the computer to compute, and it will automatically update and change any data within each formula. And so this, of course, on our spreadsheet, we've got all of the months and we've got the number of days for each month. And so the first formula, let's actually see if there are actually 365 days in a year. There's a couple ways we can do it. Let's say I want to find the sum. I want to add up all of these numbers, and I want to put the answer in cell C14. Remember, we identify cells with the column and the row. So in cell C14, I want to put a formula. And so we always start off formulas with the equal sign. And it'll already start thinking and anticipating what formula you might be doing. In this case, I want to find the sum. And since it's at the bottom of this column, it makes some assumptions that I want to find the sum of all of the numbers that are above this cell, and it's correct. And so I've got the sum of everything from C2, which is January, all the way down to C13. And so those are represented by the C2 all the way to C13. And we do in fact have 365 days. I could also put in another formula. You can also come up with your own formulas. Maybe if I want to in fact see how many weeks are in a month. And so I could write a formula for that. And again, formulas always start off with equal. And then I'm going to tell it what formula or what cell, pardon me, to look at. And I want it to look at this cell, which is, of course, C2. So I want it to go to C2. So whatever number is in C2, I want it to take that piece of data and I want to divide it by 7 days, which are in a week. Then I can click enter and it gives me the answer. I could go through and do it again, equals C3, because now I want to take this data and I want to divide it by 7. And I could go on and on and on, but that's a little tedious. So again, when the blue box highlights the cell and there's that blue box square in the bottom, if I can get that black plus sign and then I can drag it down, it will keep using the same formula. Again, I've got now it's doing C4 divided by 7. This one will be C6 divided by 7. This one will be C8, and so on and so forth. It'll keep using that same formula, but following the pattern that I wanted it to, which is going to the cell right next door. This is a whole lot of numbers, and I don't need to know all this numbers because there's no way that we actually have 0.42857 of a week. That's not the way it works. And so what I can use is I can use some of these icons up here. I can actually highlight my data set, and I can either decrease the number of decimal places that are shown, or I could increase. So let's decrease it. And you can see those decimal places going down. If I don't want that, well, then I can just increase those decimal places. It's not necessary in this case, but there's also this more fonts. And in this more formats, I could change this to a percentage, or I could change it to financial currencies and talk about money. And have dollar signs, or I can just use it as a plain number, which is what is appropriate in this situation. There's also this option up here where you can format the number, and again, you've got the same pull down menu as well. The last thing I want us to do, there's one more formula. I can even have formulas out here. Maybe I want to figure out how many weeks are in a year. So the number of weeks in a year. I'm going to put that answer here in this formula box. So the formulas don't always have to be close to the numbers. They can go someplace else as well. So in this case, if I want to find the number of weeks, I can take the total number of years, which is 365. I could type in 365 divided by 7, and that'll get me the 52 weeks that we have in a year. But if we were looking at some other situations, this number might change. And so it's always best to reference the cell. So I'm going to go up here and reference the actual cell that I want to use, which is C14, and I'll still get the same number. Again, this number is not appropriate with all those decimal points, so we can cut it down to the 52 weeks. Another neat thing, if for some strange reason we decided to make April have only 28 days, it'll update all of the appropriate cells. So it's going to update this cell, it's going to update this cell, as well as this one. Let's see what happens. So now we've got 4 weeks in a month, 363 days. It got a little dramatic, and all of a sudden there were only 10 days in April. You could see it changed all 3 places that we were looking at. And that's one of the great things about Sheets, is that if you make a change to the data in one spot, all of the other appropriate formulas will also change. Thank you very much.